Hello everybody, welcome to another Rick's Picks. Today I'm going to be doing my review of the G.I.Joe Retro figure, the Tele-viper. Now, I know there's been some controversy over the classified version because it has sleeves and stuff like that. So definitely one of the big things they did with this was they made those changes to make stuff like that, make it look more like the original figure. They're also adding alternate heads with the words on it. I don't know how I really feel about that, but we'll find out as I do the review. First thing I want to mention is that I do have a membership program. So for $2 a month, you get a lot of cool stuff like, blooper reels, behind the scenes, and much more. So go ahead and check that out. So without any further ado, roll that intro. So here he is in packaging. I love the packaging for him. So with just like all the other retro card figures, he has this retro card back. That's a callback to the old American Hero line. You got your choking hazards here, your age restriction. G.I. Joe, obviously, is part of Cobra. You get this nice picture of him. I do like that. Then you get this open window. Bring him around here. All right. You get the back of the card, so you get his file card right here, which is really nice. Everybody that's part of this line. And you get some legal underneath. So, with all that being said, let's open him up and see what he's about. So here he is out of packaging. Profile wise, he looks pretty good. I do like the overall profile to him. Now the first thing we're going to get into is his points of articulation. So the head does move. You got a shoulder joint with a swivel, an elbow joint, and you do have a wrist joint. All right, you get into his body here. You do have some back and forth movement underneath the ribs, and a joint here at the hips. All right, you got a thigh joint here with a swivel. All right, you got a knee joint, a little tight, but it is there. There's a swivel at the top of the boot, and you have an ankle joint. All right, so everything seems to move pretty well on this guy. I don't have any issues with any of his joints. So now let's get into his finer details eventually. There we go. And this leg don't want to cooperate now. There we go. All right. So first, like always, let's get into the head sculpt. All right. The head sculpt got your typical Tele-viper look to it. They did give it some color, so they gave a black, the offset to purple, which doesn't look that bad. I do like it. All right. But it's your standard Tele-viper. And then when you come down into the body, he does have the style vest that the original figure had, which is very nice. He has his purple uniform, the Cobra logo here in the corner of his shoulder. Come around here. Very reminiscent of the original figure, just like it's supposed to be. All right. And back around. So there's not a whole lot to really go over detail-wise, other than the fact that he very much does look like the original figure. So now we're going to get into all his accessories. So he comes with two alternate heads. So he has a head here with the word alert on it. And then he has another one that says, "What's that?" Now, I'm not a big fan of these two alternate heads. I'll tell you, I understand it was something in the cartoons, like they did have like information go across their goggles, and I think it was even in the toy commercial, but it's something that doesn't really strike me as a need to have. But for anybody who is really into that gimmick, then I can understand wanting those heads, but I'm just not a big fan. But anywho, back to what we're doing. You got his pack here. They did add color to the buttons and dials, which I do like that. That looks really nice. He has his weapon here, which I still don't understand what this thing is, but does look kind of cool. There is a hole in the middle for a blast effect. So if you wanted to add some sort of blast effect to this, you can, which is really nice. And now he has the hose for the gun. All right. So let's see how well all this works. Let's get his pack here. All right. The hose hooks onto the back there. Spin them around. This hooks right on here. Eventually, there it goes. Just has to find the hole. All right, the gun hooks in here. But I'm actually going to put it in his hand first, just because it'll make it a lot easier to get it into the hand without the hose. Let's get that finger in that trigger. This guy's going to make a liar out of me now. No, there it goes. Okay. And then hook. Oops. The other hose came apart. That hose is there. This hose is here. Blows that arm up. And there he goes. So that's him holding the gun. No issues with that. Now, they did add an extra feature that the original figure didn't have. That's the factor that this can actually be put onto his back. So if you look at his back here, there's a hole here. Wrist to just sit back here like this. Eventually, a little bit on the tight side. Maybe it's meant to be one of these holes. There you go. Thought it would go through the trigger hole, but actually it fits better through there. So as you see, that can just hook onto his back with no issues. And now let's get into these alternate heads. Right, usually, head pops off. All right, so you got the what's that face going on there. That went on without any issues. All right. The alert head went on pretty well too. No issues there. So all the heads swap out very well, and all his accessories. All the heads swap out very well, and all his accessories work good with him. So here's the classified version versus the retro version. Now, for the most part, they're very similar. Like from the waist down, they're practically the same figure. It's when you get up into here that you get some of the changes. Both of the helmets are practically the same. The flight vests are different, but you still have that standard mold here. So if you look at this, you can see the shape of this on here. The only difference is this one is missing the center part. But basically, they do have the same vest with some minor differences. Now, this one has an open collar where he has a zipped up collar. Okay. Now, the real difference is in the arms. So when you spin both of them around, so we'll spin him around, we'll spin him around. The obvious differences are there. You know, he has a black glove going down his arm. He doesn't. And on this side, he has a watch. And then when you come around to this side, he has a whole bunch of mechanical stuff there. So, you know, like hacking gear and what have you. So this side don't have that. It's pretty much, you know, bare skin all the way down. So those are the two differences in these two guys. Now, the reason why they gave these guys gloves, or at least the reason I believe they gave them glove, like, you know, sleeves, is because he comes with an alternate head that can change his race, so you could have, you know, white Tele-vipers, black Tele-vipers, and so forth, which isn't a bad idea. But for sculpting reasons, it's a lot easier just to black out the arms. So when you're swapping heads, you don't have to swap arms too. You could just swap the head. So I can understand why they did that because of the way that how they did the figure. So I have no issues with that. Now, which one do I think is better? Honestly, I like both. I feel that both are different versions of the same type of trooper. In a lot of militaries, you will always have like different types of, similar troopers and what have you. So, if you're more for the retro look, then obviously the retro one is your man. If you kind of want to go for a more modern day look, the classified version is your guy. But be honest with you, I like both of them the same just because they both have their own sense of style and uniqueness. Okay, so let's get into my final thoughts with him. So first off, all his joints move very well with him. No issues there. All his accessories fit fine with him. The same with his alternate heads. Everything works well. And his overall look does fit what they're going for, and that's the retro look. So he definitely captures the look of the original Tele-viper figure. So would I recommend him? Yes, I would. I think he's a great looking figure. And I love the factor that he looks different enough from the classified version to, make him part of the same, team, but different variants. So I do like that. I like the factor that they look, very different. As for the alternate heads with the words in it, not really my gig, but I'm sure there are people out there who are really looking forward to that because it does have a nostalgia to it from the cartoons and even I believe for the commercial for this figure. So that definitely has that nostalgia kick, and that's what this figure is designed for. So first thing I want to do is give a shout out to a couple of people who support this channel. First is Byron Bassett and his alter ego, Humongous. They do a lot of stuff for the channel. They help with some of the effects. He has his own YouTube channel with a show that he does every Sunday. And I also want to give a shout out to Action Figure Geeks, their Reddit channel that I'm part of, who also support this channel. And all their information is in the description. Plus, also want to ask you to take a look at my G.I. Joe playlist and my membership program. Plus, hit that like, share, and subscribe. They're all small clicks for you, but it really helps this channel grow. So, until the next one, late.